Hey everyone, this is Tom Fiet again. Perspectives on Social Institutions. Welcome. And I thought today we'd take a look at our lifelines and maybe try to get our heads around that. One of the things when we talk about a lifeline really has to do with our understanding of time. There are two basic understandings of time that come out of the Christian world and also the Jewish worldview that had so much to do with moving Western society along. The first has to do with ordinary time. We call it chronos. We get the word chronology, chronograph, those sorts of words in relation to chronos. It just means the ordinary passage of time. And it's the sort of idea where days move into weeks, and weeks move into months, and so on, and you don't really know what you had for breakfast in the morning. That kind of idea of time, chronos. And then there's a secondary idea of time, an understanding of time, and that word is called kairos. Kairos moments. These are the moments in our lives where we will never forget the loss of a child, the breakup of a marriage, a baptism of an infant that was not expected, that should not have come, but did, a miracle child. These moments in our lives, a dinner that we had where we finally got the courage to tell the woman we loved that we wanted to marry them. You know exactly where you were sitting at that moment. This is kairos. These moments in our lives that really define us. For some, we just have a little handful of precious kairos moments. For others of us, it seems like it's been one unending kairos moment after the next. We're all different, but we all experience kairos moments in the midst of chronos. What I'd like you to consider when looking at this assignment of lifeline, especially as it relates to kairos moments, what I'd like you to do is to consider two things. One is, I would like you, in whatever fashion that you'd like, write up a kind of lifeline depicting your kairos moments. You don't have to judge them, you don't have to say they were good or bad. They can just be those moments where a time in your life has contributed to defining who you are as a person. What are the defining moments in your life? What are the kairos moments in your life? And I'd like you to be able to document those moments. Pick all the big ones and then work down from there. You know them intimately, I'm sure. But what I'd like you to do, and this is really what has to do with this course in particular, and that is, when you look at those kairos moments, I want you to ask a question, and that is, what institutions were there for me at that moment? So for instance, when you had your first child, when you thought you were not able to have children, when you finally had that first child, were you in a hospital? That's an institution. That institution was built with you in mind for that moment. When you finally got up the courage to go to a university or college, maybe after some time of delay for whatever reason, there was a college there to meet you. There was an institution to meet you when you were ready for that kairos, big kairos moment. For some of us, we have painful memories too. So when you lost your father, when you lost your mother, there's a funeral home, an institution that anticipated that loss, that was there for you at that kairos moment. What we want to say are really two things. One is that there are institutions that are already waiting for us, so that when we have our kairos moments in our lives, they're going to be there for us. A really good society, a really good culture is going to have a great array of institutions anticipating these things. So if we have a hurricane, hopefully we've got institutions in place that are going to be there for us during that disaster. When we go through educational events one after the next, we want and expect educational institutions to meet us at every step of the way. When we have legal issues, we want to have a strong judiciary We want great courts, we want great attorneys, we want great lawmakers to anticipate every eventuality of our lives, if possible. So that's one side of it, is recognizing the institutions that follow us through these major kairos moments in our lives. It's so important. But here's another one, and this is the second part of the assignment, is that when you look over your kairos moments on your paper, I want you to ask the question, which of these really should go public? What have you gone through, in other words, that really could become an institution? I met a woman once who came to our church to speak. She was from MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. And she told me that prior to these speaking engagements, she had never once been in front of any kind of crowd or any kind of audience to say anything. She was, in her own words, just a regular homemaker, a regular mom. And then her son, who graduated from the University of Chicago with a PhD in astrophysics, when he went from the graduation exercises to the place where they were going to have their reception, he was killed by a drunk driver. She was never the same again. And so at that critical moment in her life, what that did for her was it lifted her into, from being a very private person to being a very, very public person in the name of her son. And it was generated by this great loss, this great heartbreaking kairos moment. She entered into institutional life because of it, and to the great good of others. And just as a little extra caveat, when I called up Mothers Against Drunk Drivers and asked for a speaker, they asked me, would you like the mother, or would you also like the person who was involved in the accident, the person that was drunk? Because oftentimes the mothers will reach out to the person who had just been involved in this deadly accident. And so sometimes they come together as a twosome, speaking about what happened. How redemptive is that? These strange pairings, and quite beautiful. So anyway, I'm looking forward to seeing your lifelines. Many people have done them for me already, and many people report in that these are this exercise is really a fantastic opportunity for one to look at their lives, but also can become something of a treasure for your family, and I hope that's what it is. A note on the length of this project. This is one of the few times, I would say, in your collegiate life where a professor is going to say this: I really want you to satisfy yourself. I want you to take this task very seriously, but it's for you, it's not for me, this task, this assignment. So I want you to answer the question, what would satisfy you with your lifeline? Some people have written a one-page, a very skeletal assignment. Others have written 15, 20 pages. They just couldn't stop once they got started. I want to leave that up to you. For once in your life, at least in your collegiate life, I want you to satisfy yourself. Good luck, and I hope you really enjoy it. It'll be a treasure, not just for you, but for those you love.